Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a review for you of this very interesting little piece right here. This is the CRKT Pilarge, or the Large Pilar if you prefer. It's probably even Pilar, let's be real here. But anyways, this is the Pilarge, and I'm looking forward to talking with you today about it. First off, I want to thank very much my buddy Josh over at the Journey Win Junk blog. He is a reviewer par excellence. He actually donated this guy to the channel after he was done with it. That was very nice of him, so thank you very much. And this will, as a result, end up in the next charitable giveaway that's going on the channel whenever that ends up happening. So thank you for that. Next thing, size comparison. Here it is against your Spyderco Delica. As always, your Ontario Rat number 2 in your D2 steel here, and here it is against your Ontario Rat number 1. Boom. So you can see here, this is still actually a reasonably small knife. I mean, we are coming in shorter than the Rat 2 still, even if this is the large version. So this is large in a very interesting sense, namely that it is larger than the CRKT Pilar here. You can see here the original one is actually smaller than this guy. The blade length is shorter, etc. Also note this is not a stock edge on the Pilar down here. But anyways, so you can see here that although the blade is actually longer, it is not a large knife in the classical sense. So there you go. Next thing, this guy is a follow-up. It is the Voxnay's design here. CRKT made it. And unlike the original one, this one is G10 on the front, rather than that, and it still has the steel on the backside here. So, there we go. Let's go on ahead and jump into the good, the great, the bad, and the ugly of your CRKT Pilarge right here. So, on the good side, to start with, this guy has an option for a tip-up versus tip-down carry. You can go in either direction here, and that's a beautiful thing for some folks. It is, however, not drilled and tapped for left side carry. Sorry about that, lefties. Next thing, this guy is still coming in under 3 inches every damn day of the week. We take it up here against our ruler. We can see here this is even under the 2.75 inch line. So that's it's going to be pretty legal for a lot of folks in a lot of places. That's a beautiful thing. Next thing, and actually it is also a very nice and carryable size. I mean, we can see here if we compare it to the Delica, this is actually still more compact than the Delica in the pocket, so that's a beautiful thing. Nice there. Next thing, this guy actually has a very nice action. This is running on Teflon washers, but even despite that, it is a reliable flipper, see? Oh yeah, 100% deploys. Maybe, can I miss a flip? No, actually, I'm not really... No, I'm not able to miss a flip on this guy. And that's actually a very good thing. Not only for the action in general, but it's pretty impressive. I don't, unassisted flippers that are, especially running with the Teflon issue here, that's actually pretty impressive. So I have to give them credit for that. This is the first time they put a flipper on the Pilar, and, it's very nice to see that they did it right. By the way, you just saw me flick it open as well. Not as good with the flicking, but you can definitely do that as well. So, I am not as good at the flicking. The knife is just fine for flicking. Here, let's try middle finger. Now that's just me being terrible. But anyways, so it has a very nice detent, which works great with the flipper tab that they put on this guy. So there you go. Next thing, this guy remains, just like the smaller version, a stellar choice for modding. Meaning you could put a second scale on here of whatever variety you'd like. And I have seen some beautiful Pilars out in the day, or out in the world, that is, in these days. I don't even know where day came into it. Guys, it's early. But anyways, you could put, all kinds of different things on there, and there are no shortage of scale providers who have been working for the Pilar, and I imagine they will work for the Pilarge as well when they, once the market fires up more for these. So that's a great thing. And then finally, on the good side, this guy has a very solid price point. We are coming in here at $40. That's pretty good. That's in the budget kind of territory that is accessible to most people, with maybe a little bit of saving depending on your budget, but still, that's a very nice price point. It is very good to see these guys coming in at a range that's going to be possible for a lot of folks. And so to me, all of that is the good. It has a very solid price, a stellar choice for modding. It has a very solid detent and a reasonable action despite the Teflon. It is still under 3 inches, and it has the tip-up versus tip-down carry option. Next thing, and actually one other thing I will highlight that I just realized that I mistakenly put in the bad in my little summary there, is that this guy is coming in lighter than the original knife. Whoops! Not a brilliant man. If we put the original one on the scale here, we're coming in at 4.18 ounces versus this guy here is coming in at 3.55 ounces. So there is actually a reduction in weight going along with the increase in size. That is almost 100% due to your G10 scale here. And by the way, balance on this guy is fine, a little bit further back, but still, that is a nice little detail. The fact that you can get a little bit more knife for a little bit less weight can be nice for some folks, so that's good as well. On the great side, though, is not that, but instead the ergonomics on this knife are great. This knife, even the original was an ergonomic just masterwork, and this one is as well. This is better in the hand than a lot of knives that are out there, frankly, at any price point. Sure, I mean, you can feel, I guess, the pocket clip, but mostly this is just great in the hand. Ergonomically speaking, Voxnays has hit this out of the park. And the large version, even with my relatively small hands, feels great. And actually here, side-by-side ergos, yeah, I like the large one a little bit better in my hand. And that's beautiful. This is a really ergonomic design, and I love that. And the fact that you can get it for 40 bucks, that's a bonus too. So to me, what's great here are the ergonomics. This knife is absolutely stellar in the hand. On the bad side, unfortunately, to start with, this guy is still using pretty low-end materials, 8CR13 MOV, Teflon. You know, guys would really move into D2 across the line, or even like said 14C28M. Would that be so bad? Would that decrease your margin so much? I don't know, but I'd love to see them up in their game there. And also, the fit and finish on it isn't amazing. The sharpening isn't stellar. It's a little asymmetrical. You get weird gaps in the backspacer here, and you know, overall, they need to, I don't know, the fit and finish on this isn't great. Both of those issues, the materials and the fit and finish, are a lot better given that it's a $40 knife. I mean, at that point, I can live with some things. But they also do need to remember and keep in mind what 40 bucks is looking like from Chinese companies these days, where you're doing a lot better for the cash. So that's important. Next thing, this is not a great thumb opener. I mean, you can do it, you can pop it in there, but you're dealing not only with the sort of rectangular hole here, which is not stellar for that, but you're also dealing with the Teflon washer action. So practically speaking, if you're looking for a thumb knife, this is not the one you're going to want. Instead, you'll probably want to either flick this or flip it out. Next thing, the clip on this guy is over a fair amount of topography. What you can see here is you've got these lock bar relief cuts here, and the clip lands just roughly right on top of those. It's not amazing. Look, it's fine. It pockets up okay. But especially if you have a lot of fabric material or something like that in your pants, this will snag. That's not stellar. And then finally, on the bad side, I'm not wholly convinced by the addition of a flipper tab here. They've done it in such a way that it's a reasonably small tab, and that when the knife is hanging in the pocket, it should never actually get the chance to peck on anything in said pocket. But I'm kind of, I don't know. I don't know that this knife needed a flipper tab. Maybe this is just my own kind of reaction to the fact that every damn knife ever is a flipper lately, and maybe flippers have seen their zenith. But that's a choice that they made. It's a fine choice at some level, but I don't know that I missed that in the original Pilar, and although the action is good enough, I don't know, that's not something I'm super in love with. Mind you, you should be able to grind this off if you're not a big fan of the flipper tab. It's easier to, take one off than add one on, and at this kind of price point, that's a reasonable thing to consider, but still, I'm not wholly convinced that this knife needed a flipper tab to start with. Whatever, though, that one's not a huge deal. So to me, all of that is the bad, is that it's got a flipper tab for some reason. It's the clip is over a fair amount of topography up in here. It is not a stellar thumb opener, and then even though it is a $40 knife, so it's not so bad, the fit and finish aren't great, and the materials are still decidedly low end. On the ugly front, the only ugly issue with this guy remains the stock thickness. I just don't understand it. I mean, mind you, the grind on the large is a little bit more aggressive. I mean, you can see here it comes to an edge that is okay, it's reasonable, but the fact is that you're looking at about 3.6-ish millimeters here. Oh, I'm sorry, you have freedom units here. This caliper is good and busted here. So we are looking in someplace in the 0.14 to 0.15 inch range. Really, caliper? Do better. It's saying 0.13. Either way, okay. So either way, the stock thickness on this guy is a little bit thick. I need to invest in some better calipers than those apparently, but because I remember looking at Blade HQ and they had at least 0.1. But whatever, look, regardless of what the actual number is, in what universe does stock this thick belong on a knife this small? I don't get it particularly, because this is a knife that's a very compelling design. There's a whole lot to love here, and especially with this height here. If they had done this thinner, if they'd done this at like 0.1, even 0.12, 0.11, something like that thickness, I feel like it would just be a much more compelling cutting tool. Whereas doing it like this, where it gets a little bit hatchety, mind you, it's not as bad as on the original one where it was like, oh my freaking God, holy cow. But to say, I don't know, I feel like this kind of stock thickness on a knife of this size feels like something the maker needs to justify, and they at no point explained why they went this route. And so, to me at least, that is ugly. I really don't think that stock this thick should be the default for folding knives. In fact, I think it should be exactly the opposite. A knife should cut unless you've got a damn good reason not to. And it will cut, but still. So to me, that's what's ugly, is the stock thickness here is just kind of out of control. On the final conclusion front, I think this is an interesting iteration of a pretty compelling knife. I'll bring the original back on screen here, because the original, the Pilar, is one of the very best, it is certainly among the better compact budget choices around, with a great design, great ergonomics, and great price. And in fact, as they've released more versions of it, sprint runs and things like that, and upgraded steels and materials, it's definitely gotten even more compelling. The Pilar is a really great design, and this is indeed a slightly larger version of that really great design. And as a result, the big guy is absolutely solid. Has the same great design with the addition of a newer opening mechanism, whether you need it or not, and a slight size bump. I mean, it's not a huge size bump, mind you, if you're thinking, oh, large, great. No, this is still not a big knife. But really, this knife is basically the Pilar, just a bit bigger, a little lighter, and honestly, I think that's a beautiful thing, because it inherits a lot of the goodness from the original. And inherits a lot of what made the Pilar a hit out of the park, namely this design and the ergonomics of it. And that's great. Mind you, it does have some flaws. There is a $15 price hike as you go from here to here, which is not stellar. Low-end materials and finishing relative to other companies at similar price points is definitely going to catch up with them sooner or later. The flipper tab, I don't know, feels a little tacked on, but hey, whatever, not a big deal. But the stock is inexplicably thick. I still have no idea why you would go this thick on a knife like this. There are two other points I kind of want to make while I'm here. First off, I do kind of worry that CRKT is falling behind the competition at these kinds of price points. Because if you look at the kinds of things you're getting from Civivi, from Ruwaiki, from Real Steel, for like $40, you're getting things that with just better action, better materials, better finishing, all of those kinds of things, better steels. And, so I worry that although CRKT has always kind of made they've made themselves compelling by getting these really excellent designs, I worry that they're starting to fall further behind in terms of production, and I do hope that they try to catch up. The game is changing, basically, and I think choices like 8CR13 MOV, Teflon washes, so finishing, are just not going to compete well as these Chinese brands get more and more of a foothold in the U.S. market. Second, this knife, too, is absolutely begging, screaming for a high-end remake. I am actually very heartened at this point in time to see CRKT starting to remake their hit models with better factories and materials. In my original Pilar video, one of the things I said was CRKT needs to have different trim levels. They need to make this knife in the budget version so it's accessible to anybody, but they also need to make higher-end versions for the folks who truly love the design and want to invest. And lo and behold, they have actually started to do that. Mind you, it's probably not because I said anything, but still, they're doing that, and that's a great thing. For instance, on my table right now is this guy. This is the CRKT Crossbones, but this is an M390 blade. It's made of titanium in Italy. That is a beautiful thing. Seeing this upgrade brings me joy. In fact, CRKT is dipping way into the high-end market with things like the Shock here, which is on my table for review, which is a $750 MSRP high-end Taiwan-made knife. This thing is freaking absurd, but it's also absurdly well done. So the fact that CRKT is dabbling on the high end makes me hope that we will be seeing high-end versions of the Pilars in general in the future here at some point in time. A high-end version of this, and I don't just mean steel S35 and Teflon here, made by the right factory could be a huge hit, and actually it could compete head-to-head with some of the big entries in the little knife market, things like the Spyderco Techno and otherwise. wise. I think that would be a wonderful thing, and I hope it's in the future from CRKT. But on the whole, talking about this knife itself, I think it is absolutely a fine knife. I think a lot of folks are going to like it, and if you like the original and you want a little bit more size or a little bit less weight, and you don't want to pay the extra for the upgraded version, or more likely you can't get one of the upgraded versions because they've all been limited editions. Come on, don't... Anyways, but if you're liking the original, you want to go a little bit bigger, then the Pilarge is absolutely a beautiful thing. But if you're not looking for the extra size, then honestly, I would save the cash and stick to the original here, which is also a great, great knife. So anyways, there you go. Hope this has been interesting to you and that you have yourselves just an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.